Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Lessons Learned, the dumbest thing I've ever done with money. My name is Suzanne, and I am the head coach at Grace Financial Coaching. And I'm very excited to welcome Zach Ross today. Zach is a financial coach and the owner of Zach Ross Personal Finance. Zach inspires others to live the life they dream. Through one-on-one coaching, he guides his clients and helps them create strategies to stop living paycheck to paycheck and increase their savings. How are you doing today, Zach?
Yeah, doing great, Suzanne. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So tell us about your coaching practice and what you do to help your clients.
Yeah, so you said it all already. So people are coming to me, usually living paycheck to paycheck, just wanting to get outside of that. And so then I can help them create a budget. So first time I kind of sit on the phone or video chatting with them, and then we can see if we're a good match. First of all, some people might just be looking for like financial advisors or maybe like a full-on financial planner. That way, we don't waste each other's time or anything, and then I can point them to the direction they might need to go. But if they are, looking for budgeting techniques or maybe tips on how to increase their spending or cut back a little bit, just create a better financial plan, that's something I can work with them on. And then just like I usually do a big financial deep dive for the next call. Knock like one of the biggest problems, whatever it is they're facing, out of the way. Just kind of get the ball rolling with that.
Yeah.
And then I have 3, 6, and 12-month programs currently. So then, depending on their needs and the situation, I can recommend each one of those. So then they can save a little bit of money by doing those programs, and then as a little bit more structure as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my favorite plan to work with clients is a full 12 months, because you really get to see the full measure of your money over the course of a year. And I think that was a big game changer for me when I went through my own debt payoff and all that stuff, because I was able to realize like, oh, this is the stuff that happens annually. This is the stuff that happens around the holidays. This is stuff I need to be prepared for. I always do this over the summer. So why am I not saving up for it over the course of the year? So I'm sure that, you see the same benefit the longer you work with people.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's one of the reasons why I kind of taper my programming. So the first month is a weekly meeting. So then, because, this is all new to my clients, like they usually don't know anything about finances before coming to me. They're like, this is overwhelming, whatever, here's my credit card. And it's like, you have to stop that behavior and then just help them through the mindsets, and maybe it'll, cause a little tension in relationships, kind of get through that a little bit. So there's a lot more work to do on the front end. And then after the first month, then it goes to like every other week. And then, they're getting a little bit more comfortable. And then after about 6 months, then it switches to just once a month, just kind of checking in and making sure that we're on the right path going forward. So then hopefully at 12 months, I can kind of coach myself out of a job and they don't need coaching anymore. Of course, I'm willing to do continuing coaching if needed, but, hopefully they won't need me because they are so self-sufficient.
And I think that's an important distinction to make, because, your personal trainer wants you to learn the stuff and after however many sessions, implement it. And we work the same way. We want you to learn the financial stuff. And after so many sessions, after so many months with the accountability, we want you to carry on yourself. So I think that might be a misconception that people think you're going to be working with a financial coach forever. No, as you just said, we want to coach ourselves out of a job. We want to make sure the client has the resources to move forward and do it on their own.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What, right now, as we record this, it's February of 2023, a lot of uncertainty. What do you think is the most important thing for the people out there who are living paycheck to paycheck, to stop and institute at this point?
Yeah, I think it's such a tough problem to say, but I'd say, payday loans, certainly not the answer. It like the average APR is like over 400%. So it's like, of course, avoid those by all means. And then same with credit cards, those are 15 to 20% interest, still absolutely terrible. But really the biggest thing I run into with people's like how much they're spending on food is usually the easiest thing to cut back on. like I know someone who is one person spending over $900 a month on food, and I
Whoa.
was like, we can knock this to like $300 to $400 without you even missing anything. Like
Right.
zero sacrifice, just a little bit of planning. And if you want to make some sacrifices, we could probably get this down to like 150. But
Right.
like I can help you a lot here.
Yeah.
So just looking, really creating a budget. Budgets really just show you where your money is, where it's going in and out, and then you can make adjustments there. There's of course going to be some areas that you can't. Like right now, my Wi-Fi bill is $20 a month. I can't cut that down
Right.
any further. So, looking at the budget, you'll see some areas, there's no way I can possibly cut that down further. And then other areas where it's like, okay, that's a pretty big number. I can probably make some improvements there.
Yeah. No. Oh my gosh. If I could flip a switch and have all my clients be paying $20 for Wi-Fi right now, I would do it in an instant, especially my New York and California clients where the bare minimum is $100, is $99.99 a month.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And that's just the bare minimum. There's nothing else. There's no lower plan. Otherwise, people who have their jobs have gone from going into the office and now working from home, they have to have that higher level internet because otherwise they're just not going to be able to continue to do their jobs, and they don't have an office to go back to, or they're not supposed to be in the office every day. So yeah, it's but I love what you said. Zero sacrifices, just a little bit of planning. Food is by far the biggest area. I have encouraged clients in the past who I know have a difficult time implementing the planning to do stuff like Blue Apron or Home Chef so that the food shows up on a certain date. And if they don't cook it, it's going to go bad. And so it might be more per meal than you're going to pay if you did actual meal planning, if you did crock pot meals and froze half of it. If you like you said, if you really, really, really sacrificed. But there's middle ground. Right. There's a big difference between zero sacrifices and a little bit of planning, and zero sacrifices and a ton of planning.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, like you mentioned, like stuff like Blue Apron, that is a good option for people who are, usually used to eating out a lot. I think it's a good transition, if nothing else, to getting yourself cooking, because you're still cooking a little bit. It's just, throwing stuff together. So it's nice and convenient. So I think it's a pretty good transition step for people.
Yeah, definitely. And even just doing that, like you said, can bring the food bill, the grocery bill down, because now we're not just walking through the grocery aisle. The grocery aisle is just throwing stuff in a cart. We know, hey, dinner for 4 nights is already scheduled. We really just need breakfast. We really just need lunch. So it really, just a little bit of planning goes a long way.
Yes.
Definitely. Well, Zach, I created this show to help people realize we all make financial mistakes, even those of us who carry the title of financial coach. But there are ways to rectify those situations. So, Zach, what would you say is the dumbest thing you've ever done with money?
Yeah, so it was back in college. So I was paying my own way through college and stuff. So it's not like I had 529 that was blowing crazy. I was working my way through college, and so I was doing one of the riskiest things you can do with stock market, other than like options trading. But I was short selling penny stocks, like day trading them as well. So it's like risk on risk on risk. But I was doing my research ahead of time, and I was pretty good, and I was making probably like 15 to 20% per trade. It's like it wasn't like every day. It was an opportunity. So I was only trading trade halts. So it's like when stocks get halted for trading. So then like NASDAQ had a website. So then like I'd get notified whenever a halt would happen. So then I could jump in short stock if it met my criteria. And then I could try to make a little bit of money. So I ended up losing about $10,000 in college. So so that was pretty rough. It was like my senior year in college, and it was like my wife and I, then girlfriend, were living together, and like I'm a pretty calm guy. So, and this, like I said, I was day trading and stuff. So I lost it in about 2 hours, like $10,000 in about 2 hours. It's like, ooh. So it took me probably like 2 or 3 hours just to be like, okay, you know what? What's done is done. Moving on. But
Oh
then,
my
my
gosh.
wife didn't get home for like another 4 hours, so I had to like, oh, like that was almost worse than losing it, is having to wait.
So we're senior year of college. You're at a 4-year school.
Yes.
What was your major?
Health promotion and wellness, because I
Okay.
wanted to become a coach, but people said, you can't make money coaching people who don't have any money, because I want to be a financial coach. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll just be a health coach. So then I got the coaching credentials one way or another, I guess. But,
Right. Right. So how long had you been doing the day trading leading up to this?
I'm not sure. It was a few months, maybe 6 at most.
Okay.
But like my research beyond that, because I was like just making fake trades on paper just to see how well the strategy would work. I was doing that for probably about 6 months prior to that.
Oh, okay. So
So,
it wasn't like your first day, I guess. So we
no,
had 6 months of fake trading and about
right,
6 months of actual trading when this happened.
right, yeah, and I think this is like my only loss. So like that's the biggest mistake in this whole plan, is like you can have a 1,000% ROI every single time you trade, but if you lose like 100% of your portfolio, it only takes one time to wipe out all of your gains.
It only takes one transaction at that
Right,
time. Yeah.
exactly.
Oh my gosh.
So
All right.
yeah,
So it's early in the day. The girlfriend is not home yet. We've
right.
got about 4 hours till she comes home. What did you say when she walked in the door?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, so because like up until this point, it would be like she'd get home, and sometimes, like I said, I wouldn't trade anything because the opportunity just wasn't there. Other days it'd be like, yeah, I made $1,500 today, like in market. It's just like super casual, like so easy.
Right.
and yeah, that time I was like, yeah, so I kind of lost like almost everything. But so one of the things with short selling stuff is the gains are limited and the risk is infinite, because you can lose more money than you put in. But that was just my tolerance was like 100%. I didn't want to like have it keep going up and then risk losing even more, even if it was going to go back down, I thought. And that's just the thing. So like I said, this was about 2 or 3 hours of the trade. And if I would have waited like 11 more minutes, I would have indicated a trend downward. And instead of losing 10,000, I would have made about like 1,700. It was so
Oh
it was
my
like,
God.
it was a $12,000 swing if I would have waited 11 more minutes. But I would have lost it.
You would have lost it somehow.
Yeah, I
Right.
would have
Yeah.
lost it sooner or later, because it was a bad plan, it was a bad strategy. It was just a matter of time before it blew up in my face. So I guess I'm thankful for that. My wife was like, oh, she was just like, I think it was just like gut punch to both of us. This is
Hmm.
probably the best way to describe it. We weren't sharing finances at that time because we weren't married yet. So it wasn't really her money, but we're still pretty close. Yeah, it was a big gut punch for us, and she was frustrated. But I think it was my calmness, because it was my money. I'm like, you know what? Like I said before, it happened. Just have to make the best of it. And one of the good things that happened with it is, or going into it,
Yeah.
is I didn't I could afford to lose that money, which I know a lot of people will put in like every last penny they have into stuff because, hey, it's making money. That wasn't the case. Even though it's $10,000 in college, it's a lot of money for a lot of people. It was a
Yeah.
lot of money for myself, but I could still afford to lose it. Certainly did not want to lose it,
Right.
but I had enough in savings, and yeah, got me through.
Gotcha. So at this point, looking back on doing the trading stuff, what do you think your takeaway was just from learning about the trading? Have you completely stopped? Did you completely stop that day? Did we stop cold turkey that day?
Yeah, so I told my girlfriend, I was like, so I won't be doing this for a while. It's like, I can't promise I won't ever do it again, but I'll definitely take like a few months and like, don't worry, and I'll talk to you about it. It won't be as much money. And yeah, I'll
Yeah,
talk.
because I have clients who do this stuff. Or when they see that Disney is down, they'll throw $20. It really does. It's based on specific stocks because of emotional or, something to that effect. Nothing to the point where they're sitting at their computer constantly doing it all day, but just kind of off the seat of their pants. But the way that I treat it with them is that it's fun money.
Right. Yep. That's
And if
always
this is part of your fun money, right? If this is part of your fun money and you make $500, guess what? That $500 is going towards your debt. You still have the debt
Right.
going on, or it's going to your emergency fund, or it's going to your savings or your retirement that we're catching up on, whatever the goal is, right? But whatever is lost needs to really be treated as if you were walking into a casino in Vegas with $1,000, and you have to be prepared to lose that $1,000.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so it was a while before I traded again. I'm not sure if I haven't done that strategy. I might go back to it because, like I said, like this is my first loss. So imagine if I tinker around with some expected, probabilities and stuff, and create some spreadsheets, I might be able to figure out a winning strategy. Maybe, I don't know. That's something to figure out later, I guess. But not too much, just a little bit, maybe like, I think I put $10 in crypto and it completely tanked, like $10. Then in 2020, when the pandemic happened, like the travel industry just completely tanked. Like you could barely fly. Like you had to have a reason to fly. All cruises were completely halted. Like you could not take a cruise if you were a billionaire.
Right.
They just weren't going. So then with that, those stocks were just at like all-time lows again. Yeah. So I was like, well, and then the stimulus checks came out. I was like, well, we have like, we're sitting on a good amount of savings right now. It's like, I'll just put all that stuff. I diversified it across like 20 different travel companies, and then it doubled in like, a few months. And
right. When everything started reopening, Florida started sending cruises out again. Yeah. But I think your point is, one, it's a hobby. 2, you've got to be prepared to lose it. And 3, it has to be interesting to you. Because full disclosure, I would never spend 5 minutes even looking at how the travel industry stocks were doing. Did I realize that Enterprise and Hertz and all the car rental companies were selling off their fleets? Yes, I did know that. Did I know all the cruises were stopped? Yes. But this is something that is interesting to you that you are going to spend time on. And one of the things that I think people see in the stock market, and they see in gambling, and they even see in buying lottery tickets for $800 a month on lottery tickets, is that they think they know better. And they think they know the system. And, I think is it casino? The house always wins, so can you make a little bit of money in a short term? Yes, if you're paying attention, if you know what you're looking for. But the majority of people aren't doing that. The majority of people aren't sitting on Morningstar all day long, picking individual stocks, even just for their retirement fund. Forget about stuff that they're going to day trade.
Right. Well, yeah, it's like 99% of people who trade their own stocks like do worse than the market. So regardless, you have to expect to not do very well. So, you have to have a little bit of arrogance, I guess, if you think you're going to make any more than the market.
Right.
But yeah, and as I was trading this stuff before I lost it, I was like, I had that in mind of the mentality of, you think you know better than the market.
Right.
I had that actively in my mind, but then at the same time, I would be going back like several months of trade halt histories, and I'd be looking at the charts. I'm like, I have not seen like a single one lose on the strategy though. So it's like, I had that, but it's just like I hadn't like actually seen it with the strategy I was having it. So
right. Yeah. Human right, our human condition of thinking that we're infinitely more knowledgeable, and we're never gonna lose money, or we're never gonna die, or whatever.
Yeah, there's a quote that goes something along like the person who thinks they know everything knows nothing, or
Yes,
something like that. And
exactly.
vice versa.
So if we could go back in time, what would we do differently?
Yeah, so definitely create a strategy that doesn't involve me losing 100% of my capital in a single trade would be the biggest takeaway here. So, like I said, I'd have to create some, formulas or whatever to figure things out. But maybe if I traded like 20% of the total portfolio at a time, like 20% on a single trade, and
Gotcha.
like 20% of my earnings from each trade, and then continue to invest that. So always do that. So even if I lost 100% of the 20%, I still have 80% to keep going, and then hopefully in time it could earn back that 20% that I lost. Of course, that's just all foo-foo in my head. Who knows if that could actually happen? That remains to be seen. But yeah,
Right.
definitely would create a strategy that does not involve me losing 100% or more on a single trade.
What do you guys think you would have done with that money? I mean, it was kind of just you said it was just sitting in a savings account, so
Yeah, I mean, no, not really anything. Like we had so much. I think at that point we probably had like 8 months or more in the savings fund. Our only debts were student loans, which are really low interest rates, and I've only paid like 3 months on them so far because of they've been deferred so much.
oh, right, because it's getting pushed. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like I said, it was fun money. So I think it probably would have just ended up in the stock market one way or another. It's it was fun money allocated for fun things to
Right.
blow money on. That's how I blew my money. It's not like we missed out on rent or we're stressing out about it.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting because some of these conversations I'll have, people will say, like, oh, I could have done XYZ, or I wish I had done this so that I didn't lose that money. So I could have done Y. In this situation, it was really just a $10,000 learning experience.
Yeah. I mean, I could run the calculator and say, if I got 6.5% annualized year over year at age 65, I would have this much more in retirement. But like I said, like we're maxing out our IRAs and 401ks right now. Like it was just fun money.
Right. Right.
We're doing good financially. We're on a good financial plan. So yeah, it was just fun money.
Right.
We're very thankful to be in that situation.
Yeah. Better that than a $10,000 error that you constantly regret for the rest of your life. Right.
Yes, absolutely. I can't even remember last time we talked about that. Like it's been years. So
That's so funny.
I guess you must have forgiven me.
Good. Good to hear. Well, you guys can find Zach at facebook.com/Zach Ross PF, and website is rosspf.com, Ross Personal Finance. And Zach, thanks again for joining me and sharing your trials and tribulations and the dumbest thing you've ever done with money. This will be available on our YouTube channel in a couple hours, and we hope you guys will join us next week. Thanks again, Zach.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.